Hello, 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 Big Bang Astrology community. It is Julie, and I'm hoping that some of you have saw in the Facebook group that I'm doing this, just this little mini course on Jupiter because um, like many of us out there, right? The last couple years have been really challenging. And so I want to kind of pull back the curtain, right? That's a lot of what I do with my astrology is I pull back the curtain and see like, well, why does it feel like I got one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake? And every time I try to move forward, I feel like I'm being stopped. And so today, this is all about the planet Jupiter, right? Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. It is the planet of wisdom. It is the planet of blessings. So wherever Jupiter is in your natal chart, right, that's an area of your chart where there's an opportunity for you to actually be a guru in that area, for you to be a sage, to offer people your wisdom. Wherever you see Jupiter in your chart, there's a little extra blessing and a little divine intervention around that area of your house. But today's course is going to talk about where Jupiter is for all of us in the sky, right? So this is going to be looking at Jupiter in the year 2022. So before we get started, you can Google Jupiter 2022 and find out, the generic things about what that means for you. I want to dive a little deeper because going into 2022, my passion and my calling, right, Jupiter, kind of this inner calling, has been really ringing very loudly for me to be out there and teaching. And there's been some resistance on my part. And later on today, I'm going to show you my chart to see why that resistance was happening. But I don't have the excuse anymore. So it's time for me to get out there to share my wisdom, right? Because wisdom is only good when you share it, right? We kind of all go through these experiences in life and then we learn something. And then the key is to go out there in the world and share what we learned with other people. So before we get started, I wanted to give you a couple fun facts on Jupiter. So let me see. And people are going to be joining throughout this call. So hold on a second. I'm going to admit Helena. So we'll give it a pause for a second. And again, this is a very casual chat. And so if you come online, right, you have an opportunity to talk with me and hear from me, and I can share your chart with you. So Helena, I know you joined. If you want to share your screen, go right ahead. It's really fun. I know Dawn is working with her son in the background, but if I have people to talk with, it's actually a lot more fun. So if you want to share your screen, or if you're just listening in the car or if at home, that's great too. But what I started with was just, there you are. Hi. How are you?
Sorry. Good. How are you?
Oh, good. But Dawn is she's one of my sisters from the community I think I told you about, the Dot Powerhouse. So she's listening in the background. And Dawn actually does a lot with astrology with the moon. So she's kind of excited to see like where maybe we can partner in 2022 to do some other things. But today it's all about Jupiter. I thought I'd end 2021 with some joy and some love and some optimism. So I was just sharing with people, Helena, that, for the last 2 years, that there's been kind of like people have been feeling like one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And I'm going to show you why that's been happening. But I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and just share a little bit about Jupiter, some fun facts. So I have some numbers here. I have the number 5, 318, 11, 16, 10, 12, and 1. And so 5 actually is Jupiter, is the 5th planet from our sun, right? My very excellent mother, Just, right? I don't know how you learn the planets, but that's kind of how I learned them. And it's interesting with the number 5. 5 in numerology is all about freedom, right? Breaking free. So Jupiter is one of the indicators in our chart about travel and far away travel. And it's not just travel externally, but it's about travel internally. Now, I know we're going to hold on. I'll pause for a second. I was going to say something, but I'm going to wait. So that's the 5, 318. So 318 is how much bigger Jupiter is compared to the planet Earth, right? So if you think of Earth, Jupiter is over 300 times the size. So it's a really big, big planet, right? You could actually fit 11 Earths in the diameter, right, of Jupiter. So you can have 11 little Earths in there. It's so big that in 1610, that's when Galileo discovered Jupiter. And he discovered it just with a telescope. So it wasn't something that we needed to have this massive equipment to see. And now we all know we can see Jupiter, with our naked eye in the sky. And then the 12 stands for Jupiter. Each planet moves at a different rate, right? We kind of all know about our sun, right? We know about our solar returns. Every 30 days, the sun moves into a different sign. And it takes, 1 year for the sun to go around. Well, Jupiter actually takes 12 years. It moves a little slower than the sun, and it spends 1 year in each sign. And what I find so fascinating, because you and I are born in the same year, so most people born in the same year will have their Jupiter in the same sign. So your natal Jupiter, I'm thinking, is in Virgo, correct?
I'm going to look right now. I
Yeah.
meant to.
And it's interesting because when you look this up, this is something that I like to look it up.
Wait. Oh, my Jupiter.
Yes. So look in Virgo.
I am really new at all of this.
No, this is good.
My Jupiter. Tell me what Jupiter looks like.
So Jupiter's the one that looks like the number 4. And it should be, do you see the sign of Virgo? The Virgo is the green, it's a green sign. What's your rising sign, Helena? Remind me your rising sign.
Moon rising. I am Leo rising.
You're Leo Gemini rising.
Leo.
So if you're Leo rising, hold on a second. Leo rising. So you should be, right after Leo is Virgo.
Oh, Jupiter. Wait, there's Jupiter. It looks like that. My Jupiter is in
Virgo.
The circle with the hook. Hold
on. You have it in Leo?
I have it in Leo.
Oh, and so there must have been a retrograde, because so Leo is on one side of Virgo and Libra is on the other side. So that's interesting because mine is at 2 degrees. So that makes sense. So I'm kind of new. So it'll be interesting to go back and look when you were born, exactly how that happened. We could go back and look at that. But it's great to kind of see that yours is in Leo. Okay, interesting. Because if you and I were in the same class, this is what I like to teach teachers. For the most part, right, everyone within a certain year is going to have that same sign. Right. So if I'm a Virgo, I'm going to be more the perfectionist. I'm going to be more like inner, like self-critical. Right. Now, if the teacher had the both of us in class, having your Jupiter and Leo, you're going to be like, hey, teacher, let me speak up. I mean, that's what it's all about. Right. So yeah, so it's really interesting as a teacher, if they just looked up the Jupiter of their students. That's why a teacher will say sometimes, wow, last year's class was like this, but this year's class is so different, right? And when you look at, right, if it spends 1 year in every sign, right? If you're Leo, you're creative and you're out there and you're fun. And then the next year, the class is more Virgo, right? They're going to be perfectionists. They're going to want attention to detail, right? And then the next year, they're going to be Libra. So it's really, it's actually really interesting for teachers to learn about this. But those are just some fun facts about Jupiter. And again, before kind of we dive deeper into kind of what 2022 is about, I wanted to teach everyone too about this concept called the age of Jupiter. Because remember I said it takes 12 years for Jupiter to go around the sun. I'm going to pull this a little closer. Right? So if we know that, every year Jupiter changes one sign, right? Between the ages of 0 and 12, right? That's a full cycle. It becomes a Jupiter return. Well, in your first 12 years, it kind of makes sense. Jupiter is attached to your moon, right? These are your primal years. This is kind of you're attached to your mom. This is when you're starting to let go. And your main teacher, right, before you go back to school is going to be more your mother and from home, right? So the first your first 12 years, Jupiter works really closely with the moon. And does that make sense? Okay, right? And then from 12 to 24, you think about it. Now we kind of leave our mom and we're out with our friends and we're a little more out there in the world and we're getting some more skills. So to the ages of 12 and 24, your Jupiter is kind of working more closely with Mercury. Like we're learning skills, we're learning how to be out there in the world, we're learning things that are going to help us contribute to society, right? And then 24 to 36, like it's with Venus. Venus is we start falling in love, we get married. Venus is about money, right? How do we do our job, right? So this is the cycle, right, where we're looking at money and love. Then when Jupiter comes into 36 to 48, this is the sun, right? We're kind of looking like this is our life. This is almost like the midlife crisis period. It's like, okay, this is about me. This is about my ego. Jupiter, the biggest planet, wherever it goes, sometimes it kind of expands not only the good things in our life, but it could also expand some of those things that aren't working so good in our life. So we have this period of, what do I really want to shine my light on in the world? Then we move from 48 to 60. This is Mars. It's like, okay, second act. If I didn't do it in the first part, right, let's kind of motivate. What am I going to do now? So, you and I are kind of working in this level right here, right now. Then from 60 to 72, Jupiter is really connecting fully with Jupiter. These are our wisdom's years, right? Now we become elders. We've learned so much. Now it's our job about what is our legacy? What are we going to leave in the world? And then, kind of go back here a little bit more down here, 72 to 84, we have Saturn, right? We're coming towards the end of our life, right? And did we master, right? Saturn's about mastering all the things in life. And again, what is our legacy? So I think it's really interesting that when you understand Jupiter, what it wants to do, right? It's teaching us. And then it comes in different stages. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
And you're learning, but it kind of makes sense, right? When you go through, thinking back through your life. So for everybody else who's watching the video, you want to make sure that you see, where are you right now? And where is Jupiter kind of focusing in your life? Is it the moon? Well, nobody on this is going to be moon. Mercury, I'm sure, but we may have some people 24 to 36. It's your career, your midlife crisis, kind of your second act in life. Those are kind of most of the people that are in this tribe. So who is Jupiter, right? We talked about Jupiter being the fifth planet, in our solar system. And Jupiter, wherever it kind of lies in our chart, as well as where it transits, right, where it's moving, it's where it wants to bring abundance. It wants to bring growth. It's all about our health, our wealth, and our wisdom. Here's the thing with Jupiter. Jupiter actually rules two of our planets. It rules both Sagittarius, and I move this a little closer, it's a little, so you can see it a little better. There we go. Awesome. So it rules Sagittarius and it rules Pisces. Well, like what's the difference then between the two of them, right? So first of all, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire and air signs are masculine energy, right? So when it's in the masculine or fire signs, right, those are going to be the Jupiter people that kind of go out there. They're the doers, right? They're more manifesting physical things. This is about good fortune. This is about higher education. This is about morals and ethics in life, right? So that's Jupiter in Sagittarius on a very high level. When you look at Jupiter in Pisces, well, first of all, Pisces is a water sign, right? It's going to be very internal. So unlike Sag, where we're taking all these external trips, where Pisces is and Jupiter kind of connects, it's going to be more the internal trip, right? It's water, it's feminine. So it's really about not us going out there and creating new experiences from like taking a new trip. It's about sitting quietly. It's about using our art. It's about using divine meditation. Pisces wants us to slow down. go inward. And so I think, it's unconditional love. Pisces is a sign of unconditional love. So we have Jupiter, right? The planet of expansion. And isn't that good to know after these last 2 years, right? And everything that's been going on, post-election, post-COVID, so much contention, whether it's social media, in the news, within the families, right? There's an opportunity here for us as individuals, right? We can't control what's going on in the outside world, but we might feel a little more watery, right? We might feel a little more sensitive. Jupiter's in Pisces might ask you to even withdraw, be a little more isolating. We want to make sure that we withdraw and isolate and tap into that higher realm, though, through meditation, through music, through dance, through art, and really try to avoid the alcohol, the drugs, really the self-sabotaging ways. Pisces, we could both get to that high, but how we get there, right? There's a healthy way and a way that's just brings us more into the darkness, so we don't want to go there. So this Pisces, right, we're really going to start feeling, so between starting today, right, and through May, we have this energy of just sensitivity, of inwardness. Are you kind of feeling that? Like, it's around the holidays. So kind of share with me, Helena, if you want, like, what's been going on? Like, I'm just looking at you now, like you're sitting down, you're kind of comfy, heading out, like you're almost like just feeling, you're wearing blue.
I just came from acupuncture, which is why I was a little late. So
Okay.
talk about like the self, like
Yes.
isolation. This is
Yes.
what you're doing. It's time to just hermit. I'm hermiting.
Yeah. Good. All right. Good. Awesome. So, so we just looked at, so I just want to like recap, because there's a lot here, and I think astrology becomes more fun and more impactful and even practical when you understand, when I'm doing these videos, like, what's she talking about, right? So we talked about Jupiter, it's the biggest planet, it's about abundance. We talked about it rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. One's the masculine, one's the feminine. We're going to feel more of the feminine energy this year. The third thing I want to kind of just point out is every sign, as it goes around and visits all the different signs, sometimes when it's a visitor in one of the signs, it isn't as comfortable as it is in other signs. So for Jupiter, it's called the essential dignities, right? And so it's a big word, but really what it means is, if you look at your astrology chart, right, you have all the different signs. We go from, a fire sign to an earth sign to an air sign to a water sign. Everyone's chart is like that. For Jupiter, it rules the planet, remember, Sagittarius and Pisces. So when it moves into it, it's like coming home. I was thinking of a song. I was actually thinking Chris Daughtry, like that song, I'm coming home, right? Like, he loves it. Like, I'm here, I'm home, I rule it. Like, I am king of the roost when, he's in Sag and Pisces. Now, when Jupiter goes into Cancer, it's actually exalted. So, it's not just being at home, but it's like, ooh, I am the prince. Like, it just can do no wrong. So whenever Jupiter is traveling through Cancer, that's a really great opportunity for us to see where Cancer is in our chart. And we can calculate, if we know it moves every year and it's in Pisces right now, here's a little quiz, right? Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. Cancer is the 4th sign of the zodiac. So in 5 years from now, right, we have to go through Pisces, and then 4 more years. In 5 years, we're all going to experience Jupiter in Cancer. So something even more to look forward to. Now, this is where the challenge has been for many of us. When Jupiter visits the sign of Capricorn and also the sign of Aquarius, it doesn't feel as at home, because what happens is Jupiter is all about wanting to expand. It's about wanting to grow and go out in the world. Well, both Capricorn and Aquarius are ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the planet of restriction. Saturn is the planet of, do it again. Try again. You haven't mastered it. So for the last 2 years, all of us have been experiencing poor Jupiter, right? It moves into, Capricorn, and now it's sitting there with an anchor on it. And Capricorn is all about structure. So for many of us, like, structures changed. Look back in 2019, 2020, what was happening in your life? Maybe those structures that didn't work became more obvious, in your life. That's what Jupiter was doing, like working harder to get rid of the things that don't work for us. So for the last 2 years, Jupiter hasn't been able to be light. It hasn't been able to give all those things that it wants to bring: joy. It wants to bring wisdom. It wants to bring fun. Like, Sagittarius and Pisces people are fun. They're kind of the life of the parties. So that's the good news of, like, what we're moving into in 2022. And then the only other thing we want to notice is what's detriment. And detriment means it doesn't like it at all. And unfortunately, I have Jupiter in Virgo as well as in Mercury. And notice Virgo and Gemini. Why do you think Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wherever it goes, it gets larger? Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury. Right? So our thoughts can get really big and exaggerated, right? We can kind of have too many ideas and not be able to focus and ground. So like, for myself, I have to realize, like, I have these big ideas, but can I really pull them off? Right? I have to take those big ideas and then ground them into Virgo and get the details, right? What are the skills that I need? Because sometimes I just want to, think big, but it's hard for me to carry out the plan. Does that make sense?
Yes, I have a couple questions. First,
Sure.
Dawn has a question. She wants, just in the comments, did you say Aquarius is ruled by Saturn?
Yes. So, Dawn, Saturn, Aquarius is one of the newer outer planets, and all our outer planets are ruled by two planets. We have a traditional planet and a modern planet. So Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, the traditional planet, and Uranus, the modern planet. If you think of Scorpio, it's ruled by Mars, the traditional, Pluto, the modern planet. And then you have Neptune, again, ruled by Jupiter, and then ruled by Neptune. So, if you think about Aquarius, Aquarius is very eccentric, thinking outside the box, but also Aquarius is about science. It's taking complex things and breaking it down into something more simple. And that's what Saturn does, right? It takes things that are complex and breaks it down. So that's why Aquarius is both ruled by Saturn as well as ruled by Uranus. Does that make sense, Dawn? And you can pop in, when you look. So thank you, Helena, for monitoring the chat box.
No, it's interesting to me because now that leads me, she's so cute, so you were just saying Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury?
Yes, they both are. Yes.
And that's where all the thoughts come from.
Right.
I'm just thinking of me and my children. How about Taurus is ruled by?
Taurus. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. So you have Venus rules Taurus as well as Libra. And so the difference between that Venus, right, is the Venus in Libra is going to be all about the aesthetics, right? It's going to be like balance in your life. These are the home decorators. These are the artists. These are people who fashion designers, where Taurus and Venus is your love for outdoors, your love for food. Taurus rules food. It rules the mouth and the throat, and it rules the second house. It's our throat chakra area. Mm-hmm. So this is great. I will actually maybe do a mini course on just sharing with you guys each one of the signs and the traditional ruler and the modern ruler, because again, these are the building blocks that you want to use to understand, astrology. So again, it makes this more like, okay, now it's making more sense. But can you appreciate then why it's in detriment? Because, oh my gosh, you can just have such crazy thoughts, and are they real? Are they true? Right? It becomes very expansive at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more question. Forgive my noviceness of this. So you said that Jupiter, it's 12 years to what, orbit the sun?
To go around to orbit the sun and to go around the astrology chart. So what if you look at the astrology chart, you said, what was your rising sign?
Leo.
Okay, so
So it's
Leo's
not
your rising sign, so it'd be here in your first, and Jupiter, that means Jupiter's in your first house.
You mean in my natal chart?
In your natal chart, yes. Yeah, so Jupiter in your first house is a very, again, I don't want to get too deep into it, right?
Yeah.
But what I would tell someone like you, because you're here and you get the benefit of learning that, right? So Jupiter being there, it's a very blessed planet about love, wisdom, being a teacher. One of the things that I would tell someone, whether your natal chart has Jupiter or after it transits all the way around each sign every year, right? It moves in one sign. Whenever Jupiter comes across the ascendant part of our chart is our physical body, right? And so you have Santa Claus, the planet of expansion, coming into your first house. This is an area, what I'd say, you want to watch out for not gaining weight. And so weight issues can be a challenge for you, right?
Sure.
And so, we can look at in your chart ways that you can, where are the places that you can lose and have less of that Jupiter, right? And not hold on to the body weight, right? That the densest, and use Jupiter, not from the indulgence part, right? Just heard from Karen, and Karen is our roommate from college, Dawn, and she is in Boston right now celebrating her 18th wedding anniversary. And I said, oh, well, what a great way to be using Jupiter. I'm like, you're moving around Boston and you're indulging. Right? Like, perfect. Perfect.
So it's not staying, and because I'm hearing the 12, so Jupiter's not staying in Pisces for 12 years.
No, it's spent, we're going to get right there. Great note. So it spends, on average, Helena, it spends 1 year in every sign.
Okay, got it.
That's 1 year in every sign. But what we're going to look at.
You said till May. I got it.
Yeah. So I'll show you, okay, Julie, well, if you're saying 1 year, then why are you only saying May? I'm going to explain that to you. Oh, no, this is good. So is this helpful so far?
For me, yes, very.
Okay. So let's play a little game here, because what's great about astrology is when you understand how a planet acted in the past, you can kind of understand how it's moving in the future. So the last time Jupiter was in Pisces was in 2010. And it actually moved into Pisces on January 20th, 2010. Now, for me, I have Pisces in the 5th house. 5th house is adventure. It is taking risks. It's out there being a teacher with young children. Pisces is about far away places. I have my, let's see what here you can see here. This is my 2010 planner. And on February 1st, 2 weeks after Jupiter moved into my 5th house, right? It moved in Pisces for all of us, but I also have Mercury there, right? Which is teaching skills. I went to India. So Pisces, far away. I went to a very mystical land. I was volunteering and teaching students in school, right? So interesting, like Pisces, 5th house. And then it also went into Aries. Well, I don't have the exact date, but Aries rules my 6th house. 6th house is health and wellness. Do you know that I got sick? I got really sick, right? But what happened, just like it's going to happen this year, it went through Pisces, dipped its toes in Aries, and then it came back to Pisces. It's like, what did you learn, Julie, that you still need to involve? Well, in 2010, I found a passion test. Because I was sick, right? I had to isolate and then really figure out what really matters most to me. And then I got really clear 5th house is my passion. And this is when my life completely changed. And I became a teacher, and I started to do all things with the passion test. Pisces is about, again, like unconditional love and our passions, right? Jupiter's our passions. So think back in your own life. Can you think about what was happening in 2010?
How old was I?
2000, well, we were 40 and in 08. So 2 years, 42.
Oh, yeah. Well, if I look, Pisces is my 8th.
Okay. So
No,
there's,
nope, sorry. Yeah, Pisces is my 8th house and Aries is my 9th.
okay. But yes, in a Leo rising, yes, Pisces is your 8th house. And so you is the house of psychology as well as the house of philosophy, the house of some big traumas, some big change, like transformation through things that are unsettling, that are a little more like don't want to talk about. It's also the house of other people's money. And then the 9th house is all about higher education, our beliefs. So maybe your beliefs were being challenged, your beliefs were being like needing to be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of looking back, kind of what was happening there, right? You kind of think about, all right, like, what do I want to repeat? What lessons did I learn that I don't want to repeat? Right? If we look now, go ahead.
Oh, so from that experience to now that I have this opportunity yet again, right?
Yes, absolutely, right? So every 12 years, Jupiter is now coming back around to this Pisces and Aries. What are we going to do with the wisdom that we got from being here? Okay, round 2. Right? And then you can actually back up another 12 years, right? So think about, 1998, right? Where was, so, oh, interesting. 1998 for me, this is when I began traveling the world. This is the year that I went to New Zealand and started my whole travel. So this 5th house in Pisces and travel continues, like if I keep looking back every 12 years.
Interesting.
Right. But then you can go to each sign and be like, okay, if it was in Pisces, that means in 2009, right, it was in Aquarius. What's Aquarius in your chart? That's relationships, right? What was happening in your relationships in 2009, right? Then you go back 12 years, 12 years, and 12 years. And you start to see the history and patterns. Yeah, kind of freaky.
I got some new relationships coming.
Yeah.
I sure do.
Absolutely. Well, 8th house is partners, right? It's partnerships and merging.
8th house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at my chart while you talk. Yeah. Okay.
So again, we're just kind of looking back. So now over the last 5 years. So first, Jupiter went into Scorpio. And the reason I remember this one, it was October 10th. And I remember it because I was leaving Dallas, right, and moving to Bend. It's 2017. What ended up happening on that specific day? What is Scorpio? Scorpio is all about secrets. It's about sexual power, right? Scorpio is either you're being overpowered or you are being overpowered. Jupiter, the planet of truth. Can you kind of figure out what was happening in the media at that time? The exact day that Jupiter went into Scorpio was when the Me Too movement started. So Jupiter, like, it got really big and had to expose all these secrets, right? And so you can look at your own life. Like for me, Scorpio is my first house. Jupiter was passing in it. I actually moved. I physically moved, right? That's what it did for me in my first house. In the next year, it was in Sagittarius. So between the 18th and 19th, it was in Sag. It was home. This was like where it was really comfortable. Look in your own chart. For me, this is the year I got fired, but at the same time, it was the year that I became a full-time coach. And I went and became a master trainer. So Sagittarius is the guru, right? I left a job that no longer was passionate about and went back to my coaching full time. And not only coaching, I became a master trainer with Jupiter, right? Then you look at 2019. Now, all of us, you look at where Capricorn is in your chart. For me, it was my third house, right? This third house is writing, it's redoing structures, right? This is when I decided I really need to finish my book. So I spent a lot of time, re-looking at my book, and Jupiter is writing and publishing. So you can look at your own chart. So where's Capricorn in your chart? Sixth house. Were there any health issues? Was there any challenges in the workplace? The sixth house will be workplace, will be as an employee. Were you an employee with any?
I was, but that was, again, this was COVID times. This
Right.
was work was shutting down.
Yep.
Everyone's health was at risk, like all of that.
Yeah, right. So we had this Saturn. Remember, this is detriment. Jupiter wasn't really working well, right? So you may have gone out there and maybe even started part of your business, right? Doing that, your own healing. But Saturn was sitting there going like, nope, nope, nope. Like, got to learn more. You got to learn more. What wisdom you need to take, but it didn't allow you to go really full force out into the world.
I did my Reiki Masters right before that.
There you go. Yeah.
You couldn't really do anything with it because everyone shut down.
Right. So, but you took the time, right? And you learned a healing modality. Mm-hmm. So that's what you got to do, right? And then, so we went 2 years, first in Capricorn and then in, Aquarius, right? So, and if you remember in 2020, at the end of 2020, Saturn, the planet of restriction, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion, came together. I think it was like December 20th. Remember, it was the Star of Bethlehem in the sky. Everyone, like, this is a new beginning, the age of Aquarius. But it really was this dawning of, okay, structures, well, we want to bring a blessing to it, but for the longest time, for the first part of 2021, Saturn and Jupiter were like moving really close. And now, over the last couple of months, right, now Jupiter is finally breaking free from Saturn. So 2 years, like, she's had this anchor of Saturn. And that's why I was so excited to I've been looking forward to this, and hopefully everybody else, with Jupiter being in Pisces, it's not being strangled right now. That doesn't mean there's other things that are going to happen, but in the area of your chart, which I'm going to kind of dive into now, like, there's some blessings coming if you kind of just stay open to what that is. So that makes sense?
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen now? And Anita, I see that you joined. If you want to you want to jump on with your camera, you can do that too. We're just having a fun conversation. Anita is one of my friends here in Helena, and she is an incredible healer herself. Hi, Anita.
Hey.
Merry Christmas.
I thought you were on. I've been sitting on the computer watching some other videos, and I was like, oh, Julie's on. I'll just go pop in and see what she has to say.
Awesome. Well, Helena is my college roommate, one of my best friends from back in school, and she's calling in from the Boston area.
Oh.
And we have Dawn. I forget where Dawn's calling in from, but she's kind of in the background. She does a lot of coaching using the moon and the moon cycle. So she wanted to learn a little bit more about, a deeper part of astrology. And now we have Anita here. Again, Helena, she does long distance healing, but when you come out here, I would love for you to meet live with Anita. Every person that comes to visit me, I send them to Anita. I'm like, you have to go to Anita. There's no other way to explain it, saying like, you just got to go.
Sign me up. I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anita, we've just kind of been like going through, what Jupiter is, where Jupiter, where it stands today. And, where we are right now is talking about, the last 2 years, Jupiter, the planet of abundance and blessings, has been kind of strangled by Saturn. I'm not sure how much of the astrology part that but the nice part is we're finally moving, Jupiter's moving away from Saturn. And so this is kind of what's happening right now. So imagine like every sign goes from 0 to 29 degrees, right? It starts at 0, so it's 30 degrees, but starts at 0 and goes to 29. In 2022, what happened is Pisces went from 0 degrees to 2 degrees. This was May through July. So I want you guys to think about when last year between May and July, what was happening? Do you remember anything that was happening for you? Anything shift? I know collectively this was a time when some of the mask mandates were lifted. We kind of felt a little more freedom. It was the summer. Everyone's like, oh, we're finally feeling like we can get free. And then it went from being in Pisces back to Aquarius, right? So, but there was a little freedom. There was a little break going on here, right? So the reason I'm sharing this is what happens with the planet is it went forward to 2 degrees, right? And then it went backwards over this 2 degrees and 0 degrees back into Aquarius. So degree 0, 1, and 2 got hit once as Jupiter was passing it and hit it a second time when it went back. Does that make sense? Right? It goes forward and then backwards. If you look in your chart, in your natal chart, and you have any planets in Pisces, that natal planet was getting hit 2 times. So I happen to have, my Mercury, right? This was a time when I was rewriting my book. I was getting ready to launch it, right? But there was some things that I had to like look at the wisdoms. What did I need to still pick up and then bring back before I launched my book at the end of July? So you want to think about, was there something particular? Now what's happening is today, Jupiter is going forward and it's going to do a straight hit. It's not going to stop. So between today and, this is my little book here, between today and January 12th, Jupiter is going to go over these degrees of 0 and 2 one more time. So I got 2 here and a last one. So whenever a planet goes forward and back like this, I call it the high-tech windshield wiper effect, right? But it's kind of going over these like beginning degrees. So the beginning degrees of any sign is you're a newbie. So maybe think about in your own life, whatever area it is, there's something new that you're learning. Am I hitting on something, Alina?
Yeah. So I have to go through this again?
Yeah, yeah, one more time. Well, it's like, it's the initial hit. It's like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. Second hit is like, all right, got it. I got to learn something and do something differently. The third is like, did you figure it out? Because now you need to do it differently.
Okay.
Right? And
Yeah.
so, but the nice thing is Pisces is moving, Jupiter's moving really quickly. Like it's completely like just a straight shot from 0 to 29 degrees. So this will be from December through May 10th. Okay.
I thought you said June 12th.
No, so that's up only to 2 degrees. And then it's going to go all the way to 29 degrees. It's going to hit the whole sign. And it's just going to go all green lights, nothing stopping it. Go, 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 go. Right. Then what's going to happen? It's going to keep going. Like it's going to leave the house of Pisces and go into Aries. And so what's going to do now is 0 degrees Aries up to 8 degrees. So now you want to look in your chart and see in the sign of Aries. And Helena, I think is your Saturn in Aries? Because your Saturn should be in Aries.
Aries is V,
Saturn
right?
Saturn is the one that looks like
It looks like a 5 with a cross.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite of Jupiter.
Saturn and my North Node is.
What's your Saturn degree?
My Saturn degree is.
What's the little number next to it? Mine's 8, so yours should be around like 8 or 10, or is it lower?
I have 2. I have 21.
You have 1. So what's going to happen is
21.
Oh, 21. All right. And then, okay, so you don't have to worry about it this year. Next year, we'll worry about it. Anita, what's your Saturn?
I don't know. Can you see?
Okay. Let's see. I see Pluto, Venus. I see where your Jupiter is. You have to hold it up a little bit more. Hold on. Actually, I think I have. Can you pull it back? I see your north. Pull it back. Back more. Is there not a little chart on the bottom that gives you a grid? Hold on a second. I think I might have your chart.
Like this?
like on the bottom, does it actually tell you like where your Jupiter is and stuff?
I don't know. Is this the chart you're thinking of?
Yeah, so I see your Jupiter. I'm just trying to find your moon. Oh, there's your, so your Saturn is over there in Libra in your first house. It's on the 9 o'clock position on your west side, and it's next to the sign of Jupiter. It's next to the sign of Neptune. That's where all your mystical stuff comes from.
Oh.
Right? So you're balancing out this very practical with this Neptune energy. And I'm going to go deeper into that, what this means for the cardinal signs. Right now, we're just going to say, like, look at your chart, and you want to find where Pisces is, and you want to find out where Aries is.
Where is Pisces? Because I have no idea.
Pisces for you is I think it's the 6th house. So it's the one with the little go to the 3 o'clock position, and then the one underneath it. It's the blue with the 2 fishes. So go to 3 o'clock, because you're a Libra rising. So in Libra, that means the opposite is Aries. And then behind Aries, it's behind Aries. So you have your 6th house and your 7th house being activated.
Because of Pisces and Aries?
Yes. Yes. So you want to look in your chart. And so what we're going to do now, right? So what you want to do is you want to know, and I've put this in the website, in the group, but I'll put it in there again. There's a nice sheet in there that talks about all the houses, right? And so you want to find where your Pisces and where your Aries is. So remember I said 5th house for me is Pisces. 6th house is my Aries. I travel, my Pisces, there's traveling, there's teaching. I go overseas. Couple of times when it goes into Aries, I've had some health issues. I've had work issues, right? So Helena, where is your
I'm 8 and 9. 8 is Pisces, 9 is
right?
Aries.
So you want to look at the 8th house. The 8th house is kind of a little. This is the house of death and dying and rebirth, right? You know, whether it's the internal or external, right? But this is the house of other people's resources. This is the house of the occult. So the fact that you are studying psychology, this is the psychology house, and you have Jupiter about wisdom. Learning about astrology right now is a really good time for you to understand the psychology of it, right? It's a really good time. And then as it moves into the 9th house, you may actually want, like, you're kind of like dabbling in it. Maybe you want to master it. Maybe you actually want to get certified in something. Maybe something in the occult that you're learning, you actually might want to go to higher ed school, back to school for. So you might get a hit this year as Jupiter goes, oop, I'm in Pisces, 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 Pisces. Oop, I hit the 9 degrees. I hit, that 9th house just for 8 degrees. You're going to learn something something is going to be revealed to you between May and October, right? About maybe where you want to go back to school. And then it will come back and you're going to think about it. And then in 2023, when Jupiter is here for the full year, this is maybe when you go back to school to master, or you start being a teacher. You have a lot of Gemini in your chart, and Gemini is teaching skills, but this is time for you to step up and be a master.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so for Anita, for you, if your Pisces is here in the 6th house, this is the house of service. This is the house of healing, right? This is the house. So think about, like, with Pisces there, right? You do mystical type healing. Like, this can be a very, busy time for you with your business, right? The 6th house actually deals with the marginalized, the people who are outcast, the people who kind of feel like the misfits. Why do people come to you? Anita, it's like they've tried everything else. And Anita was a emergency nurse. Was that what you were?
Critical care, ER flight.
The ER nurse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she has the medical background, right? This is highly medical, but she also has the intuitive part to it. So there's a lot. Jupiter, right, brings expansion and blessing. Now, I don't know everything else in your chart, but on a general just overview, that is something you can anticipate from from January, right, through May. Then it's going to move into your 7th house of partnerships. A lot of people think of the 7th house of marriages, but this is partnerships, business as well as intimate. It's also contracts and negotiations. So there might be, I don't know where you are with your house. I know there was some moving. There could be some partnerships that you may want to, look into. And maybe do maybe there's some partnering with your friends in Bend that you want to like look into. Right. So you'll get a little more information, between May and October next year. You'll take that wisdom that you learn and then bring it back. Like, okay, how do I use that wisdom so that when Jupiter is here full time in 2023, I know how to apply that wisdom? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And I think, Diane, did you join? Put your camera on, Diane, if you want, so we can help you out here.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I just saw it. I wasn't sure if it was a Facebook Live, but I clicked the link and
There you
here I
are.
am.
Hey, so everyone, this is Diane. Diane's calling in from Rhode Island. I met Diane
Yes.
through another mutual friend, back in the early 1990s. And we've just remained very good. She's a traveler, she's a teacher, she's a trainer. We've always just enjoyed staying in touch with each other. And she's kind of just come into looking at astrology, wanting to understand it a little more deeper for her own life as well. So Diane, what we've been looking at right now is kind of the movement of Jupiter starting today, right? So everyone has their chart. So do you have the chart that I sent you? You have your chart present?
Not right now, but
Okay.
I'm actually in New Jersey. So
Oh, you're in New Jersey now. Okay, no
Yeah.
worries. So again, this is kind of good just to remind for peace. Yeah, Jersey girl. Helena's
Oh,
from
you are-
Upper Saddle River.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Where are you in Jersey? Sorry.
I'm in Maplewood where my parents live.
Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you.
Awesome. No, so again, I'm so glad you guys here. Thank you so much. I mean, I think the more you kind of understand what I'm chatting about, the more it can bring some insight into your life. And what I tell people about astrology, it's not don't come to me to give you an answer. That's not my job to give you an answer. My role is to hold the space to say, hey, there's some green light. There's a lot of green lights coming for you. Let's go for it. Or my job is to kind of read the energy ooh, little caution, make sure you yield going around that bend, but you can still move forward. Or okay, there's some red lights here. And no matter how hard you hit on the gas, if the parking brake's on, you're not going anywhere, right? And that's just the way the energy is. And so when you understand what it's trying to support you in, because I truly believe after almost 54 years that everything in my life, even though I didn't like many of it, it's gotten to me to where I needed to be right now. And I'm still growing, right? It's all about growing and learning. That's what we want to do is evolve. So Diane, I was reminding the girls that, in every sign, it's from 0 to 29, right? And every planet moves at a different pace. But Jupiter last year moved 2 degrees on this bar in the sign of Pisces. So do you remember what your rising sign is?
Aries.
Okay, so you're an Aries rising, so that means your 12th house. So last year, Jupiter dipped its toes for 2 degrees from 0 to 2 into that 12th house of, far away, mysticism, meditation, maybe becoming a little more isolated, going inward. Whatever that was happening last year between May and July, it kind of gave you a little prelude as to what's going on this year. So now, starting today through May 10th, Jupiter is green lights. It's just going, 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 going. It's going to go past all these degrees, right? And it's going to go all the way to 29 degrees until May 10th. Then it's actually going to leave that house and go into the next house over. So it's going into your first house. First house is you. First house is your body. One thing you want to watch out for, planet of expansion. You don't want to put on some weight, right? We talked about that, right? So you want to use that Aries, that Mars, making sure that you're kind of ramping up your workout routine now so that it doesn't feel like a big effort when you do it, when you nearly need to kind of go into that later in the year.
Okay.
Right? And then it's going to go from 0 degrees to 8 degrees. So a little further than it did in Pisces in 2020. And then it's going to come back. So remember, we talked about that windshield effect. So Pisces goes all the way to 29 degrees, keeps going to 8 degrees, and then it keeps coming all the way back. And so it comes back into Pisces in October. And now it's going to go over 29 degrees and 28 degrees. So you want to look in your chart. And if you have anything in Pisces, which is between the degrees of 28 and 29, those are going to get hit 3 times.
Okay.
Right? As we end and going into 2023.
Okay. I will take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look. So, kind of, again, just thank you guys for being here. I can sit and chat all day long, but I just kind of go, Helena's been here just to kind of recap a couple of things. Helena, I'm just going to repeat. What's that,
One
Helena?
more question.
Yeah.
When Jupiter on May 10th leaves, bear with me, leaves Aries.
It leaves
Is it
Pisces.
Oh,
it's in
leaving
Pisces. It's in Pisces, and now it moves to the next house of Aries
And May 10th,
on May 10th.
and it goes to Aries for everybody.
Goes for everybody. So what we're talking about is this is for everybody. This is the collective.
Okay.
Right. But, it's just going, and it's a big shift. It's going from a house of water, which it's the 12th. I mean, this is a big kind of cycle of 12 years. Jupiter rules the 12th house and Aries rules beginnings. So we're going from a place of endings to a place of beginnings. Right. And this is this is a big significant, it's not like going from like Aries to Taurus, right? Where Aries is about our body and Taurus is our money and our self-worth. And then we go into our communication. We're kind of doing this full cycle. And so, the harder part of Pisces is loss, right? Is expenses. It's kind of losing things and being able to go into the more material world. It's not about money. So what is it in this final transit that maybe we need to let go of material-wise, right? Because what Aries is about is the warrior in the new beginning, right? He wants to take off, but he doesn't want this extra baggage. So this is a huge jump. This is the end of the zodiac, and this is the beginning of the zodiac. So it's not just changing a house and changing sign and changing elements and changing energy, right? We're going from this watery, mutable, like I can just love and be there for everyone. And now we're going to Aries and be like, screw you. What do I need to do? I'm just moving forward. I'm not asking for your permission. I'll say sorry later, maybe, but there's going to be something that happens when we do that, right? So just realize you're going to create something. And then you may have to go back into Pisces and kind of clean up the mess. Like, oops, I'm sorry. Oops, I kind of overstepped my boundaries. Do you forgive me, right? Do you forgive yourself, right? This is a lot about you got to go out there and take a risk, right? But if something didn't turn out the way you wanted, does it mean it wasn't successful, right? All it was is you got in new information. There's no such thing as not successful. You had an expectation how it was going to be. Right. You just got new information. And so now with that new information, you be kind to yourself, you be kind to other people, because as you're doing this, guess what? Everybody else in the world is doing this. Mm-hmm. So, I'm only highlighting with you guys like this one energy that's kind of soft, because there's a lot of things in 2021 that are a little more Aries, a little more disruptive, a little more, it's going to be a very challenging and some violence year, disruption and rebellion. And so I'm focusing on this Jupiter, because wherever Jupiter in your chart, that's where you can control. That's where you can go inward. That's the place where you find your solace. Your truth. You don't need to explain it to other people. If you need to go in your house and lock the door and put on your headsets, I'm excited. I'm finishing up my meditation certification in March. So kind of like perfect timing for that. But this is gonna be big for all of us. Yeah. So yes, Anita.
So if my Jupiter is in Gemini in my 9th house.
So we're not talking about the your natal planets. However, it's okay. No, I'm going to share with you. I shared this with Helena. So when we looked at our natal chart, Anita, Every planet has what's called essential dignities. And as it's in the chart of all the 12 signs, there's some places where Jupiter's like, I rule, I rank, I'm the queen, I'm the king. And then there's some places when he visits, he's so not even welcomed or he feels uncomfortable. So the ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces is Jupiter. So in your birth chart, if you happen to have Jupiter in Sag and Pisces, that's a very good placement. That's a really positive placement. If in your natal chart you have Jupiter in Cancer, that's actually an exalted, you're the king. Like that's a big blessing. That's like a money little thing that I would talk to people about wealth and abundance and how you can really access this. And for all of us, what did we say, Helena? In about 5 years, Jupiter is transiting into Cancer because it moves every year, it moves one sign. So it's Pisces this year, then it's Aries, then it's Taurus, then it's Gemini, and then it's, Cancer. So 5 years from now, we're all going to have an opportunity to experience on a transit level what it feels like to have Jupiter in Cancer, right? But then, Anita, we look at where does Jupiter not feel as comfortable? Well, it doesn't feel comfortable in Capricorn. Why? Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is about restriction. Saturn is old. Capricorn is old ways of doing things. Jupiter is all about like moving forward with higher wisdoms and having bigger picture, right? Capricorn is about the slow goat moving up the mountain, right? Jupiter like wants to like point its arrow, like let me go somewhere. So it doesn't feel as comfortable. So for the last 2 years, Jupiter on the outside of the ring for everybody, it's been in Capricorn that rules by Saturn, and it was in Aquarius, and Aquarius also has Saturn. So for the last 2 years, right, I talked about like it's like the gas pedal on the brake, like that. It's been that feeling. It's been really uncomfortable. Like we want to move forward, but Saturn's like not yet. Now, detriment. That means like it really not only is it uncomfortable, but it almost works to our disadvantage. And so the signs of Virgo and Gemini, where if it's in your birth house, right in your natal chart, as well as when it transits, it's a detriment. And why? Well, because both of these signs, Anita, are ruled by Mercury. It's our mind. And so we have Jupiter taking our thoughts, and sometimes we over exaggerate things. We may not see all the details that we need to see, right? We may not understand, even with Gemini there, right? Gemini is already a scattered type planet, right? It's a dual planet. It's moving in 2 different directions. When you have Jupiter come into there, it can really amp up those thoughts. So it's a harder place to be. So if in looking at your chart, we would be like, how do we remedy this? What are some solutions that we can look at in other areas of your chart to ground? I mean, you meditate, you go outdoors, you use you're active, right? You're physically active. That kind of lets things release. So I would work with you on knowing how to use this for not to let it get you down. Does that make sense?
So it's not a positive thing from now until May.
Yeah, it's not that it's not a positive thing. What's happening is, Pisces, that Jupiter in your chart, again, this is going a little deeper than, where we need to go. But what's happening is Pisces is a mutable sign in water, and Gemini is a mutable sign in air. Water and air kind of don't get along, right? But they're both Jupiter, right? So you might have, it's really what we're really focusing on is the transit, right? And so you might want to go out there and learn a new skill and maybe go be social and maybe get out there in the world. But maybe Pisces is saying, wait a minute, like maybe stay a little more quiet. Maybe it's really not time to get out there. You can socialize, but socialize, maybe using the internet, right? So that could be, a combination of this Gemini wants you to go out there and learn. Gemini's learning, it's reading, it's learning new skills, but you're reading things, writing. This is a great writing energy, but writing in isolation. Writing from a place of active imagination, right? Where you're really just allowing spirit to write through you. Are you looking to write anything this year?
Yeah.
There you go, right? So this is a really great time to write, but to really go into meditative state to write.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, absolutely.
So Jupiter's headed through Taurus and Gemini next.
Yes. Yes. But we won't get into that. That's the next thing. So when you're looking at a chart and you kind of look at what's happening for the year, and I'll probably do this quick video, and then I'm going to run a course for this in January. What I want to look at for people is you look at Jupiter. This is like your blessings. You look at Saturn, where the lessons are repeating over and over again. And then you look at the nodes. And the nodes are the 2 points called the North Node or the South Node, or in Vedic astrology, Ketu and Rahu, right? And those are the areas where, as the collective, right, we all need to move into. So in 2022 into 2023, it will be the North Node, Rahu, is in Taurus. That's where we need to lean into our own self-worth, our own voice, our own food source, right? Our own money, the cryptocurrency, how's money going to change? And on the opposite side, the release point, right, where we need to let go of is that Scorpio of being a little too fixed, right? Thinking I kind of know everything. It's not about doing it alone. It's not about doing it in isolation. It's about being open to other people, releasing self-sabotaging ways. 8th house rules Scorpio. Scorpio is about that self-sabotaging, drugs, alcohol, like the psychology, our mind, our thoughts, right? So we're releasing toxic people, right? All the poisons. We need to really let go of those foods that are poison and really start eating unhealthy. So processed foods, right? Things that aren't real. We need to start eating real things. So again, wherever, Taurus and Scorpio are in your chart, you can go back, always go back to that chart that I put on with the houses. And now you start to do the layers, right? So you understand the sign, you look at the house, right? It's a water sign, I'm going to go internal. It's a fire sign, it's going to be something external. You can even just use as simple as the elements, right? Taurus is going to be something that I need to manifest. Something's going to, my desire, I might change the way I look. I might change the way I'm eating, right? That's what all Taurus is about. That's our next class.
Julie, you're amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah, it's fun. And so again, I want to read really quickly. I have some notes here. So just for everybody, if you're not here on the call. So for Aries rising, I put some notes, that means your Pisces will be in the 12th house. And that's, we want to release old programming and patterns. It's now easy to access faraway places and mystical knowledge. It's about deep psychological realization. So Diane, that's you. If you're a Taurus rising, that means your 11th house is going to be Pisces. This is the house of hopes and wishes, your dreams, your networking, new positive friendships and networks, business opportunities, and an opportunity for more earnings, okay? Then Gemini, if you're a Gemini rising, that means your Pisces is up here in the 10th house, your house of career and public status, new career opportunities, public recognition, and new social status you want to look for. With Cancer rising, Pisces will be in the 9th house, and I'm going to print all of these in the Facebook group so you guys can all read this if you weren't here on the call. For Cancer risings, 9th house, new knowledge, more optimism, faith, your faith is growing, easier access to foreign travel and opportunities. Leo rising, that's 8th house, a little more challenging, Helena, but crises turn into opportunity. That's the blessing.
Virgo rising.
What's that? I'm getting to that. Virgo, coming to Virgo. Wait, we're doing Leo first.
Wait, I'm challenging.
Yes. You're not. Yes, you are. No. No. So Leo rising, right? So your Leo is here in the 1st house.
Yeah.
That means your Pisces is going to be here in the 8th house, right? If you layer 8th house with Pisces, right? It's, what kind of deep psychological things do you kind of need to continue to work on, right? So it's a crisis, the house of crises that turns into opportunity. That's what, Jupiter is. Healing from trauma and heavy emotion, increased intimacy and access to more help and resources from others. So again, it could be intimate partnerships or partnerships in business, what you want to do. For Virgo risings, it's improved relationships because Pisces is going to be in the 7th house, growth through partnering with others and positive contracts, benevolent partners, increased public or business exposure. Anita, a Libra rising, knowledge about health, nutrition, healing, health problems, more ease in taking care of your own health, new work opportunities, and improved work conditions. Scorpio rising, that's myself, new aspirations and ideas, creative projects with that excite you, an improved love life. Man, Lord, like, I don't know, God, like there's been none. So anything's an improvement, and matters connected with children. For Sagittarius rising, Pisces will be in your 4th house. That's home, family, property, improved family conditions, relationship with your family, more joy, moving maybe to a place that like brings you joy. That's Jupiter. Finding the right place for you, joy from parenting or gains from real estate. Then Capricorn rising, that means your 3rd house. 3rd house is communications. This is siblings. This is marketing. Ease of information and new skills, which improves your opportunities, new contacts in business, improve relationships with your coworkers, your siblings, with relatives, more local travel, and more positive state of mind. The 3rd house rules our lower mind, where the 9th house rules our higher mind. For Aquarius rising, you're going to be in the 2nd house, self-worth, making money, growth of resources, positive knowledge about money, assets, food, what to eat, more self-value, financial opportunities, growth of collections and storage. So you want to be careful with that, with hoarding. Joy from collections of songs, art. You're collecting things that are more Pisces, right? So art, music, maybe meditations, right? They don't even have to be tangible things that you're collecting. They're things that you're collecting inside. And then Pisces in your 1st house, you get a boost of joy and knowledge, understanding and positivity on all levels, from career to health to personal happiness, opportunities to travel, to learn, a big start and new beginnings. This is like a resetting a 12-year cycle for Pisces risings. Whew, okay. And again, I'll put these notes in the Facebook group. So any questions that are just kind of jumping out at the moment?
This is all through May.
What's that?
This is all through May.
Yeah, all through May.
I got to buckle up through May is what we're saying. I'm with
Well,
the
there's other things that are happening at the same time. So I just wanted to point out the most positive, because there's 9 other planets and
Right.
nodes that we look at. So they're all interplaying as well, right? So depending on their speed and where they are in your house, right? There's going to be one part. I always think about that line in When the Devil Wears Prada, where the Anne Hathaway character is in Central Park and she's talking with Stanley Tucci, and she's saying that, her relationship is, blowing up with her boyfriend, and he turns to her and says, "Oh, that means you must be up for a promotion," right? Like, when one area of our life isn't working,
Right.
It seems like the other, there's something that is. And so, I think the key in life is trying to get it all together. But when one part isn't working, where is there the blessing? Where do I need to look in? Where is that silver lining? And that really is what Jupiter is about, is that, okay, there's something beyond what I'm seeing. Like, I need to be in the big picture. If I'm not seeing it, then I'm being in the weeds. And, Jupiter is calling us to like kind of stand up higher, kind of look down and be like, okay, like, what am I missing? Because I know there's something good here. Jupiter's the seeker, right? He's the traveler. So I'm going to do everything I can to find the good in a situation that just doesn't feel like there should be anything good in this. Right.
So in your Facebook post that caught my eye, it says Jupiter, the planet of luck. And yesterday I had a thought, because my girlfriend just lost her husband and she's, 68 years old and now she's alone. And I had a thought, it's time to start buying the mega bucks again. Maybe Mary and I could partner up and check some numbers and buy the mega bucks.
Partner, right? Partnership. That's, yeah,
Mm.
right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who are we to say what the good is, right? Helene and I have a friend that's going through some hard times right now. And when I look about like what could it be a possible outcome, like I don't want to use astrology that way, because at the end of the day, everything I told you, and then there's God, right? I know everybody on this call and anybody who's in this group will know that I will use the word God. You can use universe, you can use what, for me, higher power, but I am very comfortable using the word God. And, I have to trust that his way is not our way. But he loves us. The God I know loves us and wants the best for us. And, every one of us on this call has been through something that's been very like, really, this is love. But Pisces is unconditional love. It's, breaking down those barriers. It's breaking down, boundaries and just being okay. Like, I'm just going to be open to what this life, right? Because we got to remember, we are not this body. We are the spirit inside, and it's just having an experience. And if we can, not attach to all this other stuff, but just realize like, whoa, okay, I didn't realize I signed up for this, but we all kind of signed up for wherever we're getting. And so again, like I share with you guys, I don't have the answers. All I can see is kind of the traffic lights saying, go, 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 sit to the side, go off to the vista point, park your car here, and just stay in curiosity. I know in my own life, when kind of had those dips, it was because I wasn't staying open. I wanted things my way. And when I'm able to be in like, okay, like what's happening here? Let's just be open. It's not easy. It takes a very courageous person. And I thank each and every one of you for being here just to be open, because I know you're all trying to grow, and it takes a very courageous person to grow. Yes, Anita.
I just wanted to mention, I read this the other day and it just blew me away because it just hit home for me. But, they talk about, the separation, that of our God self, of the knowing of who we are. It's in this statement said, all separation starts with a label. When you're labeling something, giving it a name.
And so what was the advice that they gave? Like, was there like a next step?
It's just not labeling statements,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's just like all of a sudden, oh, either or, black, white, happy, sad, up, down.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Again, thank you, ladies, for being here. Again, I'll post this in our group. So Anita, are you okay with, again, I've asked everybody else who came on just permission. It's just going to go in our group.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll put those notes there. And then I got some good ideas on things that perhaps down the road we can do more intimate, because when I'm on a class with people, you can share your screen and I can really dive deeper into how, what I'm sharing, this is very high level, because there are definitely other things that are happening in people's charts that I just can't get into on a call like this, but I'd be more than happy in more intimate settings that we can do that together. So my commitment, again, I got my Jupiter here in this 5th house of needing to teach. So we'll be having a lot more of these fireside chats. So I'm excited.
Yay.
All right. Well, blessings, you guys. Happy New Year. And there's still a couple more days. So it's not over yet.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Thanks,
Bye,
Joel.
Diane. Bye,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, everyone.